Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining me. This is Rachel from Rachthestamper.com, and I wanted to do a card that was kind of like the layout that we did the other day, but instead of using DSP, I was kind of trying to go for a feel of creating it with ink and paper. So I'm going to be using the Artistically Inked stamp set, and then I am going to be using the To a Friend That Makes Me Smile. That's from the Forever Fern stamp set. These both do have a coordinating die set, and if you purchase them together, you will save 10%. So I'm going to show you what we're going to do. These are our colors that we're going to use today. Coastal Cabana, which is my favorite, Polished Pink, Pale Papaya, and then Bermuda Bay is kind of just like an accent piece, if you will. So again, we're kind of going with something like this theme. I have one stamp that I'm going to do an area, a few other things in the background, so hopefully it's going to work. I have a piece of 4 by 5 1/4 thick whisper white. I'm sorry, thick basic white. I can never call it the same thing. We're also going to add a little bit of, I guess we'll say, pizzazz. We're going to use some of the black glitter paper, which is returning in the holiday catalog, which coincidentally started today, August 3rd. And then we're also going to use the back side of the Hydrangea Hill Mercury Glass Acetate. And I'll give you just a couple tips for that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start with Pale Papaya. And we're going to use the larger kind of like watercolor spot background. Now, one thing to note about these, and I just want to show you this for a moment, this is a distinctive stamp set, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I am wrong. Maybe it's just a regular watercolor stamp set, but I thought it was distinctive. Anyway, this is a very photorealistic image. It's kind of similar in an effect to the Forever Fern. When you stamp these, you don't want your ink pad to be super wet, because what it does is it almost gums up, if that makes sense, the image. It doesn't make it as clear as it could be. So my advice to you would be, if you have your magic, and of course I can't find mine, I'm looking for it. If you have your magic, here it is, your magic spoon, which is just plastic spoon I use over and over again. You might want to take your ink pad and just push, and you can totally see that there, the complete difference in color. So this is pushed away, this one's still full length. So just push your color to the side. And what this actually does is, instead of you absorbing some of the ink, it's just moving it to one side. And you'll notice that it will stamp differently. I am going to wipe this off, because I will use the same one. You can certainly use a different one if you like, but once you clean it, it does clean off and the ink doesn't transfer. So I'm going to set this here for a moment, but I'm just going to ink this in Pale Papaya. Don't want it too wet. And I'm kind of emulating this pattern here is what I'm going for, but I don't want it to be 100% straight. So I'm going to kind of just move this around. It's definitely a little bit lighter than I wanted. My other card is a little darker, so I'll show you the other base that I created. It is slightly different, and then you can tell me which one you like better. So if you do want a little bit more of a vivid look, now what you're going to do is, so I didn't really need to clean this off, but when you're finished with it, what you can do is you can just kind of move your ink back around. You're going to notice that it's not really as dark as it was to start with, but you're also spreading the ink over the pad, so it's not going to be as concentrated as when it was freshly inked from the factory. All right, so have my spoon again, so I'm just going to close this up. Actually, before I do, I just want to add just a couple. I'm going to add a little bit over here, so I'm just touching a small space. Might be a little bit darker. And just a teeny bit over here. Not a lot. So I'm just going to set that on the side. So again, that was Pale Papaya. Now my Coastal Cabana is pretty freshly inked, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to just take this and kind of just press the ink down. I'm not really trying to relocate it to one side or the other, but I did ink it not so long ago, so I just want to kind of press it in there so I get a good all over inking for my next stamp. So I'm just going to wipe this off. And again, it is helpful if you are using these to go from your lighter to your darker color. I certainly wouldn't clean my, or press my Coastal Cabana and then do the Pale Papaya. So we're going to use the larger stamp. Okay. And we're going to just, this is going to be kind of like our center spot. So over here. So this one is still a little bit darker. Okay, it is a pretty well inked stamp. So what you could do with this one, and I'll show you, is you can again just move it off to the side a little bit. So if you freshly have inked your stamp and you don't really like the direction it's going, say it's too dark still, you can move your stuff around. So just to show you. And then I'm going to show you one other thing, because the polished pink is a little bit lighter. So prior to opening this, I'm going to show you the next tip you can do. If you're worried about your spoon contaminating, what I'll do is wipe off the ink, and then you can actually use your Stampin' Mist and spray it on here, and it will clean it to a pretty clean finish. So you can see that it's much whiter than it was before. So you can use your Stampin' Mist on this as well if you wanted to. So same thing with my polished pink. This is a brand new stamp, or stamp pad I should say. So I'm going to move this just a little bit over, so I have a little bit of a clear area. And then I'm going to take the little trio of flowers, and I'm just going to kind of stamp this around, trying to rotate it so it's maybe not all of the images. You can kind of stamp so you can just have partial inked stamps. We're going to go with that. And again, I do have another card that I already did, so I'll show you what that looks like as well. So that was polished pink. And then finally with the Bermuda Bay, this one has 3 or 4 little dots. So I'm just going to add this in. I originally put this kind of to the center of the flower, so it would almost look like the center, I don't know what the stamen, I guess you would call it. So, but then I also added a couple just randomly. Same thing, you could do it so you just have a little dot hanging off. It doesn't have to be all 4 of the dots. So we're gonna go with that. So again, that was the Bermuda Bay. I'm gonna wipe this off. Just give me 1 second, just so I can put it back. So I just use the same spoon over and over again. Again, I wouldn't do that with white or black, only because it is a little bit more difficult to get the ink off of there. So I would probably do white or black separately. So the other thing I have is my sentiment. Now, I just want to tell you, I did already stamp my sentiment, but I want to show you one thing. I thought maybe this would look nice with a bright pink. So I actually did stamp it with the Magenta Madness, but for what I'm going for, it didn't really go with it. So I kind of went back from that. It was just a little too bright, but I want to show you what it looks like. It's almost awkwardly bright. Okay, so this is the die that I cut out the other day when we made these cards. Actually, I did a bunch of them. So this does have ink on the back. So I could hang on to this, but since it's already used, I'm not going to. I'm going to show you what I did. I actually went down 1 stamp set. And again, that also shows you the difference between the Magenta Madness, in case you weren't sure, and the polished pink. This is kind of like a neon electric pink, and this one is a little bit softer. This one kind of more reminds me of a Melon Mambo, but considerably lighter. I like this color better. The magenta, I do find myself having a hard time using because it doesn't exactly go with what I think it's going to. So this is the card that we just did. This is the other one that I did. It was a little bit more, there's a little more white space, but also the Papaya, I didn't move the ink over. So just to show you the difference between the two, this one I kind of like, it has a little bit more white space in between, but I like the softer Papaya as well. So I guess it could kind of go either direction. The other thing that I want to show you that I did, and here is the sentiment, just so you can see the difference. This actually coordinates it with it. So this is the polished pink. And here was the other side. You could see it's more of a purpley pink with the magenta. So this is the one we're going to use, and we could put this on either card. It's going to pretty much the same. I kind of did the same centering for both of them, but just to give you an idea of as I did it. So here is our sentiment, and this is from the Layering Circles. And that is this one, I believe it is. Yep, that is the 4th smallest circle. So another thing I did was I took the 3rd smallest circle and I ran this through my die cut machine with the mercury acetate. This is the Hydrangea Hill. So this is Highland Heather, and then there's also a Gorgeous Grape. but I wanted to use the silver side. So I did this. This also has a protective backing, and I'm fairly certain, I want to put this on here so you can see. You can see what it looks like because these do look slightly different in color. This one is maybe a little bit more shiny. It has a plastic backing, so you don't have to, but you can peel that off. I did peel it off because it was, the edges were pulled a little bit. So this is what I have for that. So that's going to go on here. Another thing that I grabbed that I thought would be kind of fun is the black glittered paper. So it's not glimmer paper. It's actually paper. It's a little bit thinner. And I cut this in about I think this is a 1/2 inch strip, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 1/2 inch strip. So it's a 1/2 inch by 4 inches. It was just a little piece. I thought that would be like a pop of color that we could use. Obviously, you can see we are going to back this onto Bermuda Bay, 4 1/4 by 11, scored in half at 5 1/2. So that will be our base. And then one other thing I did because I thought it kind of looks cool. So let me show it to you on this and you'll see what I mean. Let me just hit this with the bone folder. So I thought it needed a little something because I like this and I was like, I love the colors, but it needed some black because black kind of makes it pop. So then I cut out the little glittered piece and then I did my sentiment and put it on there and I was like, it needs something. So then I went with the mercury acetate. And I was going to layer it right on, but I kind of thought to the side would be a little bit cooler. I haven't 100% decided on that yet, but I felt like it still needed something else. So I brought out the part, this is the white cotton, I don't know what this is called, but it's a white cotton weave ribbon. And this is from the Flowers for All Season trio pack of ribbon. It is still available. They do have these other two as well that go with it in case you maybe don't recognize it. But so you have the gingham and then you have the baker's twine. So what I did was I took this and I took my dark pale papaya marker and I colored it and I came out with a ribbon that coordinates. So it is dry now. You definitely want to make sure this dries before you try to adhere it. And then I thought we could put this in the background. So here is what I've come up with. And we're just going to assemble this card right now and you all can see what it's going to look like. So I'm going to put my base layer on, or I'm sorry, my layer onto my base. So this is again 4 by 5 1/4. And it's going to layer on here directly, just like that. I'm going to do the same with my black glittered card stock. I don't know what this is. Paper, specialty paper cardstock. It is in the holiday catalog, so that's awesome because it's fun for Halloween, but you can also use it for other things. This would be also great if you wanted to dress up a black tie card. So we have that, and then I'm going to put this, and I want it to be, I don't see how these are kind of going together. I actually want it the opposite way. So you have the ends going out. I think it looks a little bit nicer that way. I don't really know why, but that's what I'm going to go with. I am going to grab a mini glue dot just to hold these two pieces together here at the fold. And again, this is why you want to make sure that it's actually dry, because if you're trying to put it together and it's not dry, it's not going to stick. So I'm just pressing those onto each other. My little mini glue dot is right there. I'll press those onto each other, and then we're going to do our foil. So this is the Highland Heather side. This is the silver side. We go like that, and that's the wrong side. We have this here. The other thing, if you wanted to add just a little something to this, and you all know I'm famous for doing this, so I'm going to just go ahead and do it. I'm going to grab my Coastal Cabana marker, my Stampin' Right marker, and I'm just going to go around the edge here, because for some reason that stark white always just looks like it's missing something. You could even clean off your pale papaya if you wanted to, or I should say clean off your 4-dot stamp and add the pale papaya to that. So let's see, you could even do it with a little really light, there you go, just a little something, because I feel like sometimes when you have those bright white circles, they just need a little something. And I think I'm going to put this in between like this. I think that looks cute. And then I'm going to pop it up. So I'm actually going to go ahead and put some adhesive on this, and I'm going to go with some of the Stampin' Seal Plus, if I can get, yeah, that worked out pretty well. So I'm going to put that here onto this one and kind of really center it, but stick it on there like that. Yeah, that will look good. And then I'm going to use my dimensionals to actually anchor this onto the back. So I'm just going to grab a couple dimensionals. 4 should be good. 1, 2, 3, 4. That looks pretty good. And just for a little bit of extra strength, not a lot, but just a little, I'm going to put a teeny bit of glue onto the back of each dimensional. That way, because with, oh, goodness gracious, I have a little whoopsie there. But with the acetate paper, sometimes it doesn't adhere quite as well. So the liquid glue will kind of give it a little extra oomph. So we'll go like that. I'm just going to flip it over and press to make sure it's adhered. Same thing with this. This is going to wiggle around a little bit. The only problem is it is very difficult to get the Stampin' Seal Plus to stick to the acetate paper. So I'm going to just do the same thing, and I'm going to put some liquid glue. I'm going to put a good amount on here. It is going to take a little bit to dry. So once you kind of settle on where you want this, just set it on the side to let it dry. So we'll put this here. And this is a very much 80s card, which I really, really like. I think it's absolutely fun and adorable. And if you felt like, so again, you're going to see this is going to take a minute for it to adhere. So what you can do is you're going to set this on the side. You can do one of two things. You can either sit a block on top of it. That way you ensure it's in the same spot and the glue will dry. You could put an ink pad. You could put your phone. But prior to doing that, I just want to add a little bit of something fun to this. And I really, really love a lot of these gems. The in-color gems are super cute because they're really bright. You could also do the elegant faceted gems just because they have the multi-layer of it's kind of something a little bit softer if you didn't really want to go with color. So these would be super fun, but I think I'm going to go with the elegant faceted gems just because they're just a slight tone down. So I'm going to use those instead. And I'm going to grab my, if I can find it here, where is it? My take your pick. I know it's around here somewhere. There it is, hiding behind my ruler. I'm going to take this and I'm just going to pop a couple of these on. So and I'm going to go with a combination of, I have the clear and then I have the, I guess they're kind of more of like a champagne. Oop, that's stuck on the wrong side. Hold your horses there, mister. I have too much putty. That's why. Too much putty. Just roll this out. I still have my very first Take Your Pick tool from when they very first came out with it. So the putty tip of this could have changed a little bit. I'm really not 100% sure. Let's see if this is picking up. We'll go with it over here. Gonna stay. I kind of feel like I might have pulled a little bit of the putty off of there. You could do that. Another fun thing that you could do if you wanted to add a little bit more than that to it is we also have these really fun sequins, and they're kind of in color combination packs, but the nice part is the gold and white. It's gold, white, and silver. So if you wanted to add something else, you could even add a couple silver sequins to that. That would make it a little bit more fun. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This one is one where I kind of started with the pre-creation process and then moved back into it. Again, I do want to put this on, but I'm going to wait until we're finished. Oh, it's actually, see, it's pretty dry on there already, so it didn't really even take that much effort. But I think this is a really fun color combination. First of all, I really do like the colors. And I think that now that I see it dry a little bit more, I really do like the more vivid look of the pale papaya. But again, I was trying to kind of just emulate this layout. I know the one thing that we could do about this, and I actually did just order another banner punch. So I have a newer one that's coming. I'm hoping I didn't accidentally order the same one and I'm not being silly, but I ordered a new banner punch, which I think that added to this would have made a really cool touch too. So instead of making this in a circle, we could have done it so it was up there on the tag and then added this little piece to the top of it, which would have been really, really cool too. So hopefully when that new punch comes in, I'll remember to do that and then we can recreate this card again. If you have made a layout like this using the card that we created the other day, I would love to see what you've created from it. Please feel free to share those inspirations and ideas on my Facebook page, which is Reach the Stamper. I love to see what you guys create. It always makes it more fun for me just to see different people's ideas and color schemes and opinions. And also, if you have another card that you've created using this, so So Pale Papaya, Coastal Cabana, Polished Pink, and Bermuda Bay. I would love to see that too. I think this is a really pretty and fun color combination, but I think it's also super, it's like an 80s mix, but then with the pop of the Bermuda really makes it super bright. So thank you guys so very much. If you would like to shop, you can go to my online store 24/7, which is rachthestamper.stampinup.net. We have the brand new holiday winter catalog to shop from as well. So there's fall, there is Halloween, there is Christmas, Thanksgiving, and there's lots of other stuff in there as well. So it's not really focused on the holidays. It kind of carries over a little bit into the beginning of next year with New Year's and some Mother's Day and other card themes as well. Plus, you know, everybody always comes up with great ideas outside of the box to be able to use for cards just to create them as well. If you don't have a demonstrator and you'd like a catalog, please feel free to send me your full mailing address to rachthestamper@gmail.com and I'll be sure to get one out to you. If you do already have a demonstrator, you can certainly contact them for a catalog. We do pay for the catalogs and pay to mail them out, so I'm happy to send you one if you don't already have a demonstrator. Thank you guys so very much for watching. If you have time, I would love to for you to give me a thumbs up or leave a comment on this YouTube page. It really does help me to be seen more. And if you're there, might as well hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell for notifications. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day.